संसारदावा नलली संसारदावा नललीढलोका प्रणय कारुण्य घना घना त्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणानवस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणानवस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् महाप्रभु की तन नित्य गीता आदित्य मनसूर सेना महाप्रभु की तन नित्य गीता आदित्य माद्या मनसूर सेना रोमांचकंपा सुतरंग भाजो वंदे गुरु श्री चरणारविंदम् रोमांचकंपा सुतरंग भाजो वंदे गुरु श्री श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्य नाना सिंगार तन्मंदिर मार्जनादो श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्य नाना सिंगार तन्मंदिर मार्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां च निञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् युक्तस्य भक्तां च निञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्य तृप्ता हरिभक्त संगा चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्य तृप्ता हरिभक्त संगा कृत्वा तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् श्री राधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्य लीला गुणरूप नाम्ना 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 प्रतिक्षणास्वादनलोलुपश्च वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् निकुंजयो नो रतिकेल सिद्धे जायालिभिर्युक्तिर्नपेक्षणीया निकुंजयो नो रतिकेल सिद्धे जायालिभिर्युक्तिर्नपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षा अतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्त्रशास्त्रे उक्तस्य था भायतेव साध्वी प्रभुर्या प्रियतश्च वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
यस्य प्रसादा भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादा न गति कुतोऽपि
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 ध्यायन्तु वां तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
ध्यायन्तु वां तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणारविन्दम्
नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने
विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namah Harihara Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namah Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namah Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama, Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama, Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Nama. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Syamasundar Radha Syamasundar Sri Radhe.
Syamasundar Radha Syamasundar Sri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Sri Radhe. Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय ओम विष्णुपदाय परमहंस परिवाचार्य श्री अभय स्वामी भक्तिनाथ स्वामी प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपदाय परमहंस परिवाचार्य श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज की, आनंद कोटि वैष्णविंद की, नामाश्री हृदय ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त विंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की, श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री मथुरा धाम की, श्री मायापुर धाम की, श्री द्वारका धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई की, यमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की, श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की, श्री श्री राधा माधव की, श्री श्री गौरांग महाप्रभु की, श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की, श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की, गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to see Guru and see Gauranga.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाया प्रहलाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वत्सः श्रीलाटन कानकानाय इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहे नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नाका अद्भुत सिंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गाम केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे। अवतार नर हरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हादेव की प्रहलाद महाराज की प्रभुपाद की
वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवते नमो
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Priyasi
Radha Krishna Seva Pabo E Abhilasi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Dehiya
Yeto Mada Sharanaloy Taravansha Purna Hoy Kripa Kori Koro Tare Vrindavanavasi Mora e abilas Vilas kunje diyavas Nayane haribo sada Yugada ruparasi Eni vedana daram Sakiranugata koro Sakiranugata koro Seva adhikara diye Koro nijatasi Iya Krishna Rase Koi Krishna Rase Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Basi Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Basi Yani kani cha papani Brahma hadyadikani cha Tani tani pranasyanti Pradakshina pade pade Yani kani cha papani Brahma hadyadikani cha Tani tani pranasyanti Pradakshina pade pade Yani kani cha papani Brahma hadyadikani cha Tani tani pranasyanti Pradakshina pare pare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Jai Tulsi Maharani ki Jai. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Priyaye Kesavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Paridevi Satyote Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Priyaye Kesavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Paridevi Satyote Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Priyaye Kesavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Paridevi Satyavati Namo Namaha. Jai.
The offenses against the holy name are as follows. Tusimama. O Tulasi, beloved of Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. Bestowing your mercy on him, you make him a resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you will also grant me a residence in the pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dharma. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of the cowherd damsels of Raja. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays, may I always swim in the love of Sri Radha and The offenses against the holy name are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. 6. To give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava in order to have quickly Krishna Prema. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen and conditioned souls.
तृणादपि सुनेचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेना कृतन्या सदा हरि. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree and devoid of all sense of the false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
Put it back. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because
Yeah, because
Romapada
we'll have-
Maharaj is going to come anyway. As long as it's turned off.
Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaram Nandar Ako Vigamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Andani yasa sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Daganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami
Paramahansa Parivijacharya Srimad. His Divine Grace is Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki. Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Paramahansa Parivijacharya Srimad. His Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. His Confounder Acharya Sri Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Sakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopila Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Ganga Mai ki. Yamuna Mai ki. Tulsi Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Brihat Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution ki. Shri Shri Radha Syamasundar ki. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki. Shri Gaura Hari ki. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. Nitai Gaur Pemanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Jasodandana Brajajanaranja Jasodandana Brajajanaranja Jamana Tiravana Chadi Jamana Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Brajajanaranja Yasodhanandana Brajajanaranja Jamanatiravana Chadi Yamuna Tira Bhattacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Vedacharya Astatara Satsasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavadinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Pimanandi. Yesterday we didn't complete the purport for 113, so what I thought to do is chant the verse again and then complete the purport for 113 Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nigamakalpataror Galitam Palam Shuka Mukhad Amrita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam Mahor Aho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka Nigamakalpataror Galitam Palam Shukamukad Amrita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam Mahoraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. Oh, expert and thoughtful men relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of the Vedic literatures, and emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadev Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. And we'll left off. I think it's at the bottom of. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I read this paragraph or not, but I'll read it again if we read it yesterday. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Shukadev Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole. Paragraph. In Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as shuka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe, is, in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Shukadev Goswami, who is compared to the parrot, not for his ability to recite Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. Paragraph. The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Shukadev Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes, which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishna Loka. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa, known as the rasa dance, without following in the footsteps of Shukadeva Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering personalities like Shukadeva Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully. This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavad school suggests that in the future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. A professional man who makes a business out of reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Shukadeva Goswami. Such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the foolish class of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretations. Pretty strong language. They have no desire to follow in the footsteps of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Final paragraph. One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of the rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning, and not whimsically to satisfy the mundaner who has very little knowledge in transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami or his bona fide representative. So there are lots of metaphors used in this verse as well as in the whole of the Bhagavatam. And one of the reasons is the subject matter is beyond our experience. So how do you explain that was beyond the experience of the person who's listening? You have to use metaphor, like this. So that likeness is, the advantage of a metaphor is, according to Prabhupada's explanation, the similarities between the two. And obviously it's not a one-to-one correspondence because it's a metaphor. But it implies certain things. Metaphor. The example Prabhupada gives is the example of a literary example of pointing to the moon that someone may not see. Even you could see the moon, but you may not be able to see it. So there it is in between the branches of the tree. The moon is not in the branches of the tree. But from the vantage point of the observer, from over here, it may look like that's where the moon is. Now, in composition, there are ornaments that enhance the object that you're describing, like deity worship. The deity doesn't require but ornaments are there to enhance. The ornaments help the person who is viewing the deity, etc., 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 etc. It enhances the object's appreciation. So alankara is the Sanskrit word. It's literary procedures that help one to understand that which is beyond our comprehension. The Vedas deal with both. The Vedas deal with things that the senses can perceive and explains them. And there may or may not be a one-to-one correlation between how our senses perceive something that's of this world in the realm Prakriti. There may not be a one-to-one correspondence. And that's okay. At least for the transcendentalist, it's okay. And then there are things that one cannot perceive with one's senses. And then commonly the attempt to understand that which you cannot perceive through the senses is the mind. And by inference, perhaps maybe, it seems to me that that which is beyond the senses to perceive may be like this, may be like that, because, using reason and logic, tarka, to explain that which is beyond our experience. So, tarka apratishta, the absolute truth cannot be pratishta, established by reason and logic. On the other hand, it's not that reason and logic are trashed. This was Sri Radhika's question yesterday. We do engage in exercising the senses and exercising reason and logic. And other literary devices, like literary ornaments, like comparing the Vedas to a tree and comparing the Bhagavatam to the ripened fruit on the tree, because it's something you have experience of, and then you can infer that which you may not have experience of. We have fruit trees and we have ripened fruit on the tree, and I've never had a fruit that's tasted first by a parrot, but it's a literary expression because he's tasting. Pibata Bhagavatam, he's tasting. Sukha is tasting. And he's, as we hear, he's a Rasika Bhakta. That's yesterday's discussion. He is a taster of rasa. And as he's narrating, he's tasting. And that his experience of tasting is passed through the medium of his speaking that which he's tasting. The last sentence, I'll read it again. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami or his bona fide representative. So drinking the nectarian juice. It's a metaphor. But it's a very nice metaphor for reasons presented in the purport. It's juicy, it's sweet. Srimad Bhagavatam, beautiful Bhagavatam. It's very rasika. The very nature of Krishna is, the very nature of the absolute truth is that which contains everything and from which everything comes. That's the absolute truth. So one of the everythings that's within the absolute truth is rasa. And therefore the Vedic aphorism which the Bhagavatam expands on, is Raso Vaisaha, that is Saha, that's the pronoun, means the absolute truth, is Rasa. You say it conversely, Rasa is the absolute truth. The absolute truth is Rasa. And he presents himself in his spiritual form, his Swarup. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, his Swayam, his own form. He manifests himself and performs pastimes and speaks and does things. And in his doing this, he is being himself. And the narrations about him, because of the absolute nature, we all know these teachings, no harm hearing them again, because the absolute truth is non-different than his activities, and the descriptions of him, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, is equivalent or is as good as experiencing the pastimes directly. It's the same and not the same, like a classic description. Prabhupada speaking from the Vyasa-san, saying, I'm speaking from the Vyasa-san and you're all hearing. And there are persons not in the room who may hear the recording. In front of me is the microphone, over there is a recording device. And so persons who may not be in the room, they can hear the recording. No, that at that time was literally a tape. And then so tape recording, and people hear the tape recording. I'm speaking, and persons who hear the tape recording, they're hearing me speaking. His point was that the sound vibration has been captured mechanically by technology, and persons later may hear. So it's not the same and simultaneous that is the same, or it's spiritually speaking, it's equivalent. Now, experientially, being in a classroom, hearing Srila Prabhupada speaking was a nice experience. And hearing recordings is a nice experience, but it's not the same as being in the classroom or the place where the recording, from which the recording was made, the circumstances and voice inflection and everything. We want the personal association of the personality of Godhead in a loving mood. At least that's the heart's expectation, that the natural position of living entity in relation to the Supreme. We want that. Our attention is distracted by so many other wants, but that's the heart's or the soul's hankering, and that is made possible, just as this verse is saying, by the regular and sincere hearing from the proper source. So then emphasis is placed in this purport appropriately on hearing in disciplic succession. So tracing the history of how it came to be that Shukadeva Goswami spoke, and these verses aren't Shukadeva Goswami speaking, this is Vyas, before even Sutta speaks. It's Vyas, the compiler, and presenting what this literature is that he's going to be presenting. He's speaking about his son, Shukadeva, and what Shukadeva is going to do. He knows the history because he's going to compile the literature, and it's not fiction, it's history. And specifically also in the purport it's mentioned, it's not that it was a recording. Shukadeva Goswami simply repeated what he heard verbatim That's not what he did. It's not to say he couldn't do that, but that's not what he did. He presented with the sweetness of his own taste for Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna and the subject matters of the narration that he heard from his father. And specifically, Vyas received this knowledge in a very wonderful way. He received by his own realization. He received further by hearing from Narada Muni. And he's writing as he has this realization, and he's had this hearing, because what else can you do? If you're going to narrate, just like our contemporary speakers of the Bhagavatam, the proper speaker doesn't invent and create, as the professionals may do, but they simply repeat what they've heard according to their capacity to understand, and that's what the audience is going to receive. Their understanding and the narration according to their understanding. There's a little story that Prabhupada tells about in previous ages when Brahmins were qualified. When Brahmins were qualified, they had the capacity to remember everything that they heard. Like Bhaktisiddhanta was that type of person. It's not just days of yore, it's persons who have qualification. Naistika, Brahmachari, Shukadev, Bhaktisiddhanta. The Prabhupada tells a story of one man, doesn't give a date, but one man who was by the side of a river, and another person, second person, was insulting him so badly that the person being insulted brought the matter to court. And the person described the insult that was made, and then the judge asked, "Do you have a witness?" And the judge was directed to a Brahmin who was taking a bath in the river when this exchange was going on. And so the witness was called into the courtroom, the Brahmin. And he was asked, do you remember this exchange? And the Brahmin said, this is Prabhupada narrating the story, the Brahmin said, I don't know the language that they were speaking in, but this is what they said, and he repeated verbatim what they said. Because even though he didn't understand, he had Shrutidhar, he had a perfect memory of the playback capacity. Exactly verbatim what was said, exactly as the person who was accusing the other party said he said. The Brahmana was a witness who repeated verbatim what was said. The point is, there is such a thing as verbatim repetition. And there's also such a thing of speaking according to one's realization. And the non-verbatim repetition isn't necessarily better. The main thing is two main things: hearing in disciplic succession and speaking according to one's realization. You can't avoid it anyways. One is going to speak according to one's realization unless you have a didactic memory. But not everyone has that. But everyone has some capacity to realize the message of the Vedas. So that's what's being encouraged by Prabhupada in the purport, and hearing from Shukadev Goswami, or one who has heard from Shukadev Goswami. In other words, in disciplic succession. Strong emphasis. Part of the reason for doing that is, besides that's the proper way of understanding, the other part of why I'm giving that emphasis, it's not a new thing for us to hear, but some persons are not receiving knowledge in disciplic succession, and what comes out of their mouth is gobbledygook. It may have some names and some resemblance to something that was in the scripture, but it's gobbledygook because it's not disciplic succession imparted or received. It's so important. Therefore, saying it again is quite important. Then comes, the consideration. I'll just end with this. Then comes the consideration that how many commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam? You said 90, yes? So, what do we do with these commentaries? It's not a 10, but it's not a 0, so what is it? And then some are in this category, some are in that category. Some are more authentic, and some are less authentic. It depends on this means that kind of interpretation. I don't know how the interpretation people interpret the Bhagavatam. That was part of the question yesterday. But we know from Bhagavad Gita there was no battle. This is Mahatma Gandhi. There was no battle. There was no Krishna. I didn't read this, but I was told that by the best of my memory, Prabhupada said that Gandhi said, if I have to accept that there was a person named Krishna who wanted a battle to take place in Kurukshetra, and that's a requirement for me to be a Hindu, I reject my Hinduism. There's no such thing as a battle, there's no such thing as Krishna. This means that. Or Kurukshetra, Dharmakshetra. Kurukshetra means the body, this means that. And on and on and on and on and on. It's like, why? Because they don't really want the real thing. They want to demonstrate their erudition. This means that. So, leaving all that discussion to the side, the emphasis that Prabhupada is making in the purport here is the subject matter should be heard in disciplic succession. And then the receiver of the message of disciplic succession is the postal peon, that is, according to their capacity, they repeat the message. And it doesn't have to be a didactic repetition of the exact sound. No harm, at least the Sanskrit, but then the translation of the Sanskrit and the commentary, if it's through disciplic succession, they can be variegated. There can be different realizations of different great Vaishnavas who are qualified and take the position of disclosing what this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam or that verse says, and how this verse connects with that message, and so on. We want to hear from disciplic succession. That's the emphasis. Remember the circumstance. Prabhupada is writing for an audience that doesn't know anything, presumably. There may be some scholarly people that know something or think they know something, but he's writing for people that largely that don't know anything. And how to present people that don't know anything the highest truth. Not easy. Therefore, as it's being explained in the purport systematically, and Srila Prabhupada also, systematically following in Sukadev Goswami's footsteps, systematically organized the subject matter so it could be palatable and more easily understood. Now, different speakers Bhaktisiddhanta is one person, would speak very, very high. And if people couldn't follow his high speaking, he didn't compromise. Then, therefore, not as many people could understand what he was saying, although they may have understood this person is very elevated. Or because the speaking was pure, the impact on the person who was hearing, although they may not have understood, was consciousness has become elevated by that pure sound vibration. And then gradually, it's many graduallys, the purification and some clarity can arise, and the message can be, the transcendental message can thereby be understood. And that's our method, Shravanam Kirtanam. Starting with the Shravanam part from the proper source. Okay, we'll end there, see if there's some discussion. Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This question might be covered in the previous classes. I'm not present, so the question is, in that assembly, we see Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and several other sages. And we know in this verse we see that in this verse.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, I understand that it's full of rasas.
Yes.
So the question is, what kind of rasa that Shukadeva Goswami is exhibiting where Vyasadeva or Narada Muni but gave that position to Shukadeva Goswami instead of Narada Muni themselves.
Instead of?
Narada Muni speaking.
It's not like they gave the position. They abdicated and passed on the baton. Narada has his, Vyasa had his, Shukadeva had his particular personality, quality, capacity. It's like kirtan. The different kirtan singers, there's fundamentals, but they're not all kirtan singers or musicians are going to sound exactly the same. So the personality dimension plays its role. So it's Shukadeva Goswami had a characteristic. Rasamalayam, he had a characteristic of being able to taste and transmit. It's not that Narada didn't have, or Vyasa didn't have, but he had particularly that capacity. And he was at least in this narration, this composition, he was the speaker. Were there persons before him? There were persons after him in disciplic succession, but he had a particular gift. And so those who hear from him receive that gift. So, it's not that Narada's dry and that Shukadeva is juicy. The message is the message, but the person tasting the message and then hearing from one who's tasting the message is very nice. Okay? Behind you?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I had two questions and they're somewhat related to each other and also to Prabhu's question. So this verse is basically describing the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam that is done by Suta Goswami, which is repeating what is Shukadeva Goswami and what he heard from Vyasadeva.
This verse, are you speaking this chapter or this verse?
This specific verse when it says...
It's not spoken by Suta Goswami.
Right, it's being written by Srila Vyasadeva, right?
Yes.
So it is I was just thinking that initially Shukadev Goswami heard the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Vyasadeva, but then it was repeated by him, heard by Sutta Goswami, and then repeated by Sutta Goswami, and now it's being compiled again by Srila Vyasadeva.
No problem.
Okay. So this is...
I understand your question. It's a technical question. No problem.
Okay.
Vyas wrote it.
Right.
And there's a preamble which is permissible for the compiler. That Sukadev Goswami may not have said the preamble. So don't get too caught up in those kinds of details. He spoke the Bhagavatam. And that when he's speaking, Sutta Uvacha, Sukadeva Uvacha. And otherwise, so who's compiling that? Yes.
Okay, so he's basically glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam that has now been enhanced by the realizations of Shukadev Goswami.
Yes.
Okay. The other related question was, Maharaj, what you were mentioning yesterday, you were saying that in one of the Acharya's commentaries, it is described that a fruit which is being left to ripe on the tree is sweeter than the fruit that has been picked before it is fully ripe and ripened artificially.
Yeah.
And then you,
Prabhupada's statement.
Okay. So then you were...
It's a metaphor. As happens with fruits that ripen, and then a parrot that comes along and squeezes the ripened fruit with his beak, so the juice kind of, it's in how fruits hold juice, some kind of membrane or some system, so the juice is inside, and he's massaging the outside, so the juice becomes released. So therefore, the tastiness is not created by the parrot. It's made relishable more easily by the parrot because it's already juicy. You've probably done this as a kid. Mango's got a skin, and sometimes I've done this. You soften mango and soften it, and so the skin is still intact, but inside is juice, and then you can drink it. You've done that?
Yes.
Okay. You were a kid too. So like that.
Okay. So I was just trying to...
Did that answer your question?
Almost, Maharaj. So I was wanting to confirm my understanding that in this case, the ripened fruit is basically Srimad Bhagavatam that is being compiled by Srila Vyasadeva after he has compiled all the other Vedic literature, and that's why it is the mature fruit of his realizations.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's the mature fruit or ripened fruit, same thing. On the tree, ripened on the tree. Vyasa is the writer, compiler of Vedic wisdom that was previously presented by sound, and now it's in a written form, and now it has the ripened fruit. Is that all right?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Up front. Pass it up front.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for this nice class. I particularly liked your point about how a sincere speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam will speak from realization, from his own understanding, as opposed to verbatim, like a paid speaker. Obviously, they're just following a script and they aren't communicating realization. So I really appreciated that point. You mentioned Raso Vaya Saham, this Vedic aphorism that communicates that the absolute truth is rasa.
Right.
Can you please talk about why this shows that the absolute truth is personal? Because at least my interpretation of the verse, it could have, it just points towards emotional tastes. How does this lead to a personal conception of the absolute truth?
The last part, you went real fast. Did the last part again, not the whole thing. Just the last part you went real fast, I couldn't follow anything.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Just-
Bad habit of mine. How does Raso Vaisaha point to a personal conception of the absolute truth?
Oh, easy. Where's rasa in nothingness? Or in Brahman, because there's no qualities. If you're Brahmavadi, there's no qualities. And if you're a Vaishnava, there's qualities. Brahman implies the supreme, and there's para Brahman, that's the personal aspect, and there's qualities where there's rasa. So it implies, it's not explicit, it's implicit. Rasa Vaisaha indicates person, because without person you don't have qualities. Without qualities you don't have rasa. It's implied. It's like the Atmarama verse. You're familiar. The Atmarama verse. 1:7-10. Look it up later. Sukadev Goswami was Brahman realized. Like, not interested in anything material, interested in Brahman, in this neutral state. Brahman realized neutral state. And he heard verses of the Bhagavatam and he became attracted. Implicitly, this is your question yesterday, implicitly, the reasoning process says, same as his Rasa Vaisaha, the reasoning process says that the characteristics, the activities, the pastimes, the qualities, etc. of Krishna are not material, but they're spiritual qualities. And within those spiritual qualities, mixing with other associates of Krishna, there's rasa. Or he is the repository of all rasa. So implicit is he's a person. So implicit in this Atmarama verse is the person has qualities that are attractive, even for one who isn't attracted to material qualities. His qualities are spiritual, therefore person. It's to pin the impersonalist to the mat. And they have to say uncle. You follow?
What drives the impersonalists mad?
It's just it's a street talk. When two persons are wrestling and they pin the other party with their shoulders to the mat, they're beaten. Victory. Pin them to the mat. Just a sports talk.
It's just Atmaram versus like pinning an impersonalist.
Yeah.
They have to tap out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so that means the whole of the Bhagavatam is a person. It's not imperson covered by material. Because that's one of the blah blah statements of the impersonalists. Krishna is a material covering of Brahman. The personality, the form, the qualities is a material covering of the absolute truth, which is undifferentiated Brahman. If you're an impersonalist, that's the blah blah message. But it doesn't conform with he's a person, the Atmarama verse being one, the Rasa Vaisaha being another. It's implicit. Is it clear?
Yeah. So you explained that Rasa Vaisaha indicates a personal conception of the absolute truth because it implicitly implies that only through personality and qualities can rasa exist.
Yes, because with no qualities, there's no rasa. There's no suffering on the material plane. There's no material attraction, no material disgust. There's nothing material in Brahman. Peaceful, shanti. There's no qualities. There's no person. It's impersonal. But if there's qualities, then there's rasa. To have rasa, there has to be qualities. Say it either way. It's implied. And then in the Bhagavatam, it's not just implied, it's explicit. And then some persons are going to say, no. Some impersonalists will say, that's not right. Because the absolute truth, because it's fundamental, the absolute truth has no qualities. And here's my Shruti Vakya that says the absolute truth has no qualities. And the response from a personalist is, there are no material qualities, but there's qualities. Transcendental qualities. And for that matter, where do the material qualities come from? Where does the reflection of an object come from? From the object that casts the reflection. Back and forth. This school, that school, they don't agree.
Okay. And how do you? Is this a aphorism? Is this a sutra from the Vedanta? Is this a sutra from the Vedanta sutras? Rasa Vaisaha.
Yeah, Rig Veda.
How do impersonalists
I don't know how they
interpret?
it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got the microphone. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, so if I don't know if I'm understanding correctly, so the exact transcendental rasa is experienced by a Vaishnava beyond Brahman realization?
Yes.
Okay.
You're saying beyond Brahman realization of an aspect of the Absolute Truth is Brahman, but the realization beyond the Brahman realization is needed. Now, how does that happen? That's the next question. How do you go from Brahman realization to beyond Brahman realization? Associate with the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what happened to Shukadev. That's what happened to four Kumaras. Brahman realized. Moving on to the personal realization. Because there's potencies in those messages of transcendence that are from the right source. So it's not instantly, it may be instantly, maybe gradually, but the potencies are there. The potential is there, because the potencies are there. Because the personalism is there. And one can deny it. Be stuck in a rut and just say no, or this means that. And a lady signed something? Yes?
Guru Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami is being glorified for these, his qualification is he heard in disciplic succession.
Yes.
And he spoke according to his realization.
Well, and another and is he's a Rasika Bhakta. So he presented it in that way. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is a Rasika literature which made it very easy and natural for a Rasika Bhakta to recite it with rasa. Supposing somebody's, not so realized like Shukadev Goswami, but the literature itself is rasa. Because Krishna himself is rasa. So in course of time, just by hearing, that taste, the sweetness, can be the experience of the one who's hearing.
So when I hear in disciplic succession, and I apply what I'm hearing, the way it moves me internally, and then what comes out, that's my realization.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are these ancillary processes to bhakti that we use as an aid to our bhakti.
Yeah.
So we're not exactly hearing in disciplic succession, but because of our desire to stay faithful to the disciplic succession, we're able to process these other things and these other modalities.
Yeah. There's a yeah, but.
And my but is on this path of becoming mature in Krishna consciousness, the discernment between realization and speculation can sometimes be a little ambiguous when it comes to these ancillary.
Therefore, two things. You need proper guidance, and you need a good connection with Super Soul, because that's where intelligence comes from. So good guidance can tell you you're heading for the ditch. Super Soul can tell you you're heading for the ditch. You're in unsafe territory. Don't go there. So a wise person doesn't just go there because they want to go there, and they're just like curious, and like a child wants to explore the world. When they start exploring the world, and they burn their hand or something, they fall off a cliff or something, because they were more interested in their curiosity than they were in their safety. So we accept things favorable, we reject things unfavorable. We're guided by qualified people. So then selecting, identifying the qualified people becomes very important. And then comes the question, well, how do I identify the qualified person or persons? That's another topic, but that's not what you're asking. Yes, you're using the word ancillary. And when doing that, there's a risk. We take risks. We don't take foolish risks, but we take risks. And you're properly guided, then it's not such a risk, it's an asset. And how do we determine? Is your attraction for Krishna growing or diminishing? Is Krishna at the center, or is my experimentalism at the center? What's at the center? Small matter, but it's a principle. It's not easy to discern. Back to your question, the discerning capacity of the intelligence may be stronger or weaker, depending. Someone else? Yes.
Maharaj, I was wondering, we understand what's the destination for Brahmavadis, where they go. Is there a place where the Buddhists go? Because their level is not even on the transcendental level, so what is their destination? I was just wondering.
I asked this question, studied the answer to this question. I can't remember the answer so clearly. You have? Go ahead.
Maharaj, my recollection from your study from this subject that I...
Tattva Sandarbha, probably. Go ahead.
No, this was before that.
Okay.
That they enter into the Viraja river area. And then the second piece is that there's different kinds of Buddhism. There's one kind of Buddhism which, if I recall the name right, Amitabha Buddha is a focus, where their goal is to enter into his abode, which is kind of like a spiritual realm idea. It's personalism covered with nihilism.
You got it? River Viraja, you know where that is. It's neither here nor there.
No, I think it was Bhujan Prabhu's class that he was also not quite sure, but that he said that they could go to Pradhan, because it's a place where there's no material misery, and so therefore
if you find that reference, send it to me.
Okay, Maharaj.
Because I now recall something that I'd forgotten, the River Viraja and Amitabha Buddha.
Yes.
But it's just notional and exactly, where's Amitabha Buddha's abode? Who knows? But that's a doctrine amongst a certain brand of Buddhism. But if you can find the reference, what you just said.
Okay, Maharaj.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.